Then I gotta retweet everything. Welcome after a brief delay to What's in a Game. Where am I? On today's show, Team Serbia advances to the knockout stages of Eurobasket. But are there struggles in the group stage an omen for things to come? And then, are billionaire sports owners too smart to be caught doing actual cap circumvention? Or as dumb as all the casual investors who got by a fraudulent tree planting company? We'll answer this question and many more as we scrutinize the heck out of this Kawhi Leonard situation. Stay tuned. Welcome back to What's in a Game. I'm Grace Jean, and reports of my death are greatly exaggerated by me.
Whoa, that happened to you
Today,
too? You and Trump.
Oh my gosh. Today I make my dramatic return to the stage to discuss all things Eurobasket alongside my co-host, the one, the only, Will Jones. How are you doing today, Will?
Good to be back. Had a great Labor Day weekend. Hopefully everyone listening did too and got a great Labor Day and day off of work on Monday. And yeah, I got to watch Jokic yesterday right when I got back from the film festival. So getting right back into it.
Yeah, why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about your experience at the Telluride Film Festival this last weekend? It was perfect timing, actually, because I was really sick as a dog, honestly, at the end of last week. And then you were leaving for the film festival. So I was like, let's just do the show next week. We'll be okay.
Yeah, I had to take a little break. No, Telluride is a great film festival. The celebrities all walk around. There's no press there, so they can walk around the town and go into coffee shops and talk to fans and just chill. It's like very relaxed there, but you get to see some of the best movies of the year, things that will be nominated for the Oscars that haven't come out yet. So I got to see all these movies early, but those movies will be coming out later. And yeah, Telluride is a beautiful place. Colorado's awesome.
Oh my gosh, Will, tell them who you saw. You got to talk about the celebrity sightings.
I saw Adam Sandler. I saw Laura Dern. I talked to Colin Farrell.
You talked to Colin Farrell?
Yes, I talked to Colin Farrell. He's very nice and chill. Noah Baumbach, Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons. We got to see tons of celebs. Alexander Skarsgård and his dad, Stellan Skarsgård, Jodie Foster. There's so many celebs there.
Is Jodie Foster shorter than me?
I think so. She's very small. Okay. You're definitely taller than her. Yeah.
Okay. That is good to know that I'm taller than Jodie Foster.
CT's in the Bahamas, speaking of vacations.
Oh, yeah, for real. I heard CT is having quite the time over there.
Thanks for tuning in from your vacation.
Yeah, no, I had a less fun Labor Day weekend on my end. I did recover from my illness because, every time you get sick when you're spending time around cousins, and I'm visiting children, I should say, I'm visiting my cousins right now. You get these nondescript illnesses that take you for an indeterminate period of time. It could be a 24-hour thing. It could be like a 4-day thing, right? I was able to recover in time to go to my 8-year-old cousin's 8U football game. And it was actually happening during the, you can hear them in the background, happening during the Serbia Latvia game. So I'm watching my cousin's 8U football team absolutely demolish this visiting team. And it was their first game of the season. He was really happy. He's like a huskier kid. So he's an offensive lineman. He's blocking, and he's literally like, it's like watching somebody in those practice videos with those, what do they call them? Pushing sleds. But he's just like pushing. He's just like, without really trying, he's just like moving this kid back 15, 20 yards with like every time. And I'm like, I felt the opposing team was very tiny. I felt really bad for them having to go up against my cousin's team. But anyway, that was happening. They boat raced this team 32-0. And I'm watching this game. I'm paying attention, particularly on offense, because that's when my cousin's playing, right? But at the same time, I'm like following the box score for Serbia Latvia, and I'm like, this game is closer than I wanted it to be.
Yeah, a lot of close games.
Yeah. A lot of close games, a lot of closer games than we'd necessarily have expected for Team Serbia headed into the group stages there. But really excited to get into all of that. I'm also excited for figure skating season to be upon us because that is my other love. Like, you guys think I love basketball, like, you have no idea how into figure skating I am. I know way too much about these people's lives.
Well, the NFL's starting too, so other people's, like, if you're an NFL fan, your other interests are starting up, and so there it is.
Yeah, this is the part of the off season where it's like it feels way less dead because like the NBA season is like upon us. We have training camp in less than 4 weeks, less than a month, right? Because the Nuggets play like a couple days earlier than I think other teams because they have that international game in Vancouver. And yeah, so that plus obviously, like I said, figure skating is starting up. NFL starts this week, right? I think Thursday is the first day. I'm probably going to watch a bit more football this year than I did last year because I got a little bit more intrigued. I started watching a lot of Mina Kimes, and I'm like, okay, explain defense to me. Explain NFL defense to me. I still don't understand football offenses. Like, I can't. But things like pressure and like I know what a safety is now.
You'll get there the more you watch. And the Broncos are going to be interesting. Not that you have to be a fan of them, but
I've been hearing about it. I think everybody is like all the analysts that I've been watching are super high on the Broncos because of their defense and like their offense. They're less high on in terms of being like super high level, but everyone's like they still have a really good offensive line. Yeah. Which they did last year too, right?
Yep. It'll be fun season.
This is how Taylor Swift felt as she was trying to learn what football is.
Yeah.
Congratulations to her as well on her engagement. Okay, a couple programming notes before we jump into the stuff, because we are not even going to do a news segment today. I think the Kawhi Leonard thing deserves its own, so stick around till the second half of the show for that. We will be covering the rest of Eurobasket. We might do 2 episodes next week. Kind of depends on how interesting the first set of knockout games are. They might not be that interesting because, of course, the brackets are seeded based on how the teams did in the group stage. So you might get more blowouts like we saw in kind of the early part of the group play stage. If not, we'll definitely be scheduled, planning to do 1 episode next week to discuss Team Serbia, maybe Team Lithuania if Denver Nugget Jonas Valanciunas makes it even further in this competition. So stick around with us for that next week as well. We might be getting a guest on to help us break down some Eurobasket shenanigans, the games, the drama, all that stuff also. So definitely look out for that. And please do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. Really helps us out with the algorithm as we try to grow the channel. All right. Let's move on to our first segment here, Will.
Let's do it.
Team Serbia. Okay. I'll just kind of run through the general gist of the group play games, then we can get into particularly the game versus Latvia and the game versus Turkey, which were the 2, I think, most hotly contested games. Portugal had its own stuff, and we'll get into some notes on that, but we have some film from Latvia and Turkey that we really want to go over. So the games versus Estonia and Czechia were both blowouts. Estonia was their first game, Czechia the second to last game. When they played Estonia as their first game, my takeaway from that was like, okay, Estonia is several tiers below Team Serbia, and Team Serbia like played that game like they were, and frankly, Czechia also played like they were.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and the Czechia game was a little bit more competitive early, but then it wasn't, like, not for long, right? Jokic really barely had to do much in those games. Then we get to the game against Portugal, which was very tight. It was very physical. Serbia was able to pull away at the end of that game, but it was really kind of, if not back and forth, it was kind of like Serbia would get a lead and then Portugal would, close that gap and sometimes even lead a little bit as the game was going on. Bogdan Bogdanovic actually went out with the hamstring injury in the second quarter of that game, and he's going to be out for the rest of the tournament. I did see some people saying that he might be, maybe it's a week or maybe even 2 weeks, which 2 weeks is a lot in a tournament that lasts basically 2 weeks. So I was like, I don't know how much that would help Team Serbia if he could come back. But no, he's out for the tournament, and I don't know if that's the severity of the injury, like for certain, where it's like he probably shouldn't be playing for probably even longer than that, or if it's like in consultation with the Clippers, who probably didn't want him participating in this tournament anyway. But yeah, what do you think about just the fact that Bogi is out for the rest of the tournament? I know this is like soft tissue injuries are like nagging. You don't want to mess with them. Really be cautious. But for Bogdan Bogdanovic, this is kind of like the pinnacle of his career, like participating in Eurobasket with Team Serbia. And to be fair, like they did get silver in the World Cup a few years ago. But I just mean in terms of like, what are the most important aspects of his professional career? It's probably playing for the national team. And you could probably say that for Jokic too. Like you can argue it, but it's like, well, Jokic is a 3-time MVP in the NBA and he is an NBA champion. I don't necessarily think that Bogdan has that kind of opportunity, both because of, talent, whatever, like the team that he's on, although maybe you can argue the Clippers, whatever. But what do you think about just the fact that that's the case given like this circumstance?
Yeah, on a personal level, sucks for him. And he's up and down in the NBA. I think people sometimes just never know what to expect from him when he comes in. And he had better moments in the Clippers series in the playoffs, but some not so great moments. But he was looking amazing in Eurobasket. Like he can be a really productive player in this tournament. And I kind of liked seeing the two-headed snake of him and Jokic on Serbia so far. And they could kind of trade off a little bit scoring, and Bogi could just do a pull-up three and hit it. And we saw some other players attempt that in the game versus Turkey, two mixed results. And it's just one less shooter and playmaker or just play finisher that Serbia now doesn't have. And it's a really rough blow for them. Like that sucks.
Yeah, I think especially in the context of how Serbia's roster is constructed, both in what was available to them. Like if you go back to the friendlies and you're like, okay, these are the 15 or 16 guys that are available to make the full roster, but especially in the context of the final roster for Eurobasket that excluded Topic, that isn't a very perimeter creation heavy, or even like I would say medium, compared to a lot of European teams that have like a lot of these just like quick guards that can make plays off the dribble. To varying degrees of reliability, right? Because I don't want to say any of these guys that point guards that these other teams have are like the pinnacle of any of those skills, but they're like, he's a dude that you generally trust to be out there and do this thing and has the physical capability of doing it, because usually they're smaller, quicker, all that, but also like the point guard experience. And I don't think that Serbia really had that, even if they'd had Topic, right? Because we were worried about the perimeter creation, or I don't want to speak for you necessarily, but I definitely was, especially after I saw that Topic was left off of the list. But even if he'd been on the team, like he's like 20 now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have experience playing with the senior national team. This is a very different environment. It's probably the reason that he didn't make the team, because they wanted guys with experience. But now Serbia finds themselves in a situation where Bogdan, who's pretty good for what they had, but wasn't even like that guy, taken out of the rotation, and then everyone else has to move up a slot. You're expecting more of Alexa Avramovic. You're expecting more of Vasily Micic, who has been like very, I want to say up and down, but it's like more like very down and up. He's had like, I think that people have been a little bit too hard on him because he is coming off of an injury. And honestly, any like little thing you get from him is kind of a plus in my mind, because that's just like I was pretty low on what he'd be able to contribute going into the tournament. So I think people have been a little bit harsh on his performance in that context, but it's because like we don't have this coming from anywhere else, right?
Yeah,
And so
it
you're
makes
in
it
a
more
situation.
glaring.
Exactly. We're
But yeah,
like,
when I heard a lot of criticism
mhm,
of him and watching the game yesterday, and I rewatched it this morning, I didn't have like specific problems with Meeches. It was more like
yeah,
a collective symptom of missing a certain skill set, which we'll get into.
yeah, for sure. Um, Yeah, so that was a really tough loss, and we're talking about this in the context of the Portugal game. Did you have any specific takeaways from the Portugal game other than like for me it was just it reminded me a lot of that. Was it the first? It was like the second or third game that Serbia had in the friendlies against Greece, where it was
Hmm.
like, okay, the bigs, the prerogative of the bigs, like the directive, I should say, of the bigs on the opposing team was beat up Jokic and try to make post entries as difficult as possible. And that was what the Portugal game looked like to me.
That's a strategy that is employed in the NBA all the time by teams. So it's just a matter of how well you can do that. But I did not get to see Estonia or Czechia and Portugal games. I was too busy watching movies and such.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Latvia, I saw your clips, and I obviously have tons of stuff for Turkey.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but I will say in that game, I was really worried about like is Skeda gonna go off against Jokic because he's been kind of tearing it up for Team Portugal, and then it wasn't. He was like good, but it wasn't in like a wow, he's really killing us kind of thing during that game. It felt more like a collective. Portugal's doing a really good job of dragging Serbia into the mud in this game. Um, and I think I have to double check this, but I think that was the game where they had the most turnovers of all their pool play games. I could be wrong about that. Um, sorry, just a second. Yeah, so let's move on to the game against Latvia then. This was the one game in the group that worried me the most. And you're like, well, why is that? Like, obviously, Turkey is probably the biggest competition for Serbia in Group A, which they're in, for pool play. But to me, I was like, there's a 50-50 chance that Serbia just loses that Turkey game, and I kind of wrote it off. The Latvia game was one where I was like, this is a real trap. And that's because even though Latvia, in my mind, underperformed a bit at the last Olympics, where they didn't even trying to remember if they even qualified for group play at the Olympics. I think they did because they qualified at the previous year's World Cup, but they didn't make it past their group. Don't quote me on that. It's been a long 3 summers of watching international basketball, but I did watch Team Latvia a lot. I think I watched all of their group play games. I think I watched all of their games in the World Cup in 2023. And this was a team that, yes, they got hot, shooting really well from 3, in particular, Zagars, and oh my God, there was this blonde guy on the team who was just absolutely killing everybody in their wake. They knocked off Spain, who were the favorites to not win, because I think the US was favored to win, but get a medal, maybe get silver at that tournament, and then they didn't, and it made it difficult for Spain to even qualify for the Olympics. That was a whole drama of what Latvia was able to do to Spain in group play. And they played well, and they did this without Kristaps on top of all of that, right? So I was really worried about them because it's like they're not like the most talented team, but they played really well together. I'm glad that Serbia ended up winning this game, but this was the Superman game of all the group play games for Jokic, right? He had 39 points in this game, 19 points at halftime, right? So this wasn't like there were like different phases of the game where he like was more dominant than like he was just killing them up and down the floor. And it really helped that, yeah, they've got Kristaps, but Jokic was not struggling with that front court at all, at least in terms of scoring. But it was definitely a struggle for Serbia to generally create offense without going through Jokic, which, like, story of Jokic, of like the last few years of Jokic's career, it seems like it doesn't matter which team he's on. Licked Adder says Jokic always beats down KP. Basically, yeah. They actually took Kristaps. I think they took Kristaps off of Jokic and had him roaming, and they had their power forward trying to guard Jokic, and it was just like, this isn't doing anything right now. I have a couple clips from this game because I want to talk about how Jokic and like Serbia was kind of guarded to try and contain Jokic. But yeah, so let's just jump into the clips here. The first one is the Alexa 3, if you could bring that one up. So I wanted to bring this one up because this is after a reset. So he shoots the 3 miss. They reset. Guduric goes to run the pick and roll, and they're guarding this basically completely 3-on-2, ignoring Alexa on the wings. They were also, if you rewind that a little bit, completely ignoring Petrusev on the wing as well. If you see, is that Davis Bertans is on him, and he ends up leaving him, and they're just like, he goes to tag Jokic. And then you've got two guys stopping Guduric, not to stop Guduric from getting downhill, because he's not necessarily that kind of quickness threat, but they're trying to make it impossible for him to pass it to Jokic.
Yeah.
That's the goal here. They're guarding this like, I called it 3-on-2, but it, like, if you count Petrusev in this, it's like guarding it 4-on-2. Basically.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, he missed the first one, and so he gets another look.
He made the catch and shoot.
And he's going to hit that. Yeah. So it's a good strategy to deny the ball to Jokic and dare others to shoot. It's just a matter of them executing. And I guess it can be hit and miss whether they're going to be able to pull that off or not. But
right.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. This was the Guduric 3. This one I want everybody to pay attention to what happens when, like, before any action is started. If you could rewind that, please. Well, who is guarding Jokic here? Is that Kristaps? Is that the power forward? I don't think Kristaps is even on the floor.
Yeah, he's not in.
So they've got this guy trying to chase Jokic over screens, and he can't. So instead, they try to switch it and front it, and then they switch it back. That is Kristaps. Oh wow, his hair looks darker. And front it again.
Oh yeah,
like the whole thing. And if you could go back here, the way that Jovic is basically completely ignored in all this. His man does get back to him, but like they're like, we need to clog up the paint and make the catch as difficult as possible for Jokic. And he never touches the ball. And they rely on they eventually get to an empty side pick and roll, and then Guduric hits a pull-up 3, which is like, I'm glad he hit it, but is that the shot that Serbia wants? Probably not.
No, right? Yeah, it's a risky shot. Man,
it's he took the shot that was available to him. I think they like, maybe you could say, oh, you want him to get the ball back to Jokic on that pick and roll, but like whatever. But the whole point was that entire possession was designed from Team Serbia's end to try and get Jokic a post touch. Can't get it. Like, and he has 3 different opportunities against 2 different defenders to try and get that done, and they are successfully able to, completely deny that. And there are passing angles available in these situations, but the kind of on-ball initiator that you need to make those passes are like really, really high-level playmakers. Like guys that would make passes that the guys that both make and try passes that would drive a coach insane if it resulted in a turnover. Licked Adder says, Jokic has just been running around off ball the entire international play. Absolutely, because when he's on the ball, they're playing way off of him, and he's not taking pull-up 3s, which, I mean, you don't want him to take pull-up 3s. But part of the problem with that, in Serbia not having the personnel to fully optimize, like Jokic being able to have that off-ball role and fully be maximized in that, And that's crazy to say in a game where he did have 39. Right? And it's funny because I didn't pull any clips of him scoring. So I wanted to show more of like, what were the possessions where Serbia scored, but it felt like their offense got more pulled in the mud than anything else. The problem with that is that they don't have the perimeter personnel to fully optimize that when the defense, and Latvia's not the best defense in this tournament either, but they're able to execute the scheme just by like being as physical as possible and like honing in on Jokic and knowing that Serbia is not going to punish them by having other guys make plays for other guys. You have guys making plays for Jokic and you have Jokic making plays for other guys, but you don't necessarily have a lot of the other guys making other plays for the non-Jokic players, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No more. That's what I'm saying. Pull up threes and just pull up threes off the dribble, especially, I think are a tough shot, and they're not always the most reliable. That's what I mean. It was a little more risky in terms of going for that, and especially against Turkey, I didn't see them hit those as much. And we just saw that last play where Alexa had a better catch and shoot shot. So I don't know. Maybe that's just a tendency of them. I don't watch them as much over longer periods of time to like necessarily know like what they're better at in terms of shot profiles.
I think Licht is referring to Jokic. But I don't know. Jokic was kind of good at every three last season, so it's not really representative of his career. It just kind of is what it.
Oh yeah, he did hit one though. Year. He hit. I don't know if it was one or two against Turkey that he hit the pull up three, but
yes, he did.
Yeah.
Didn't hit the very last one to tie the game though, which was
that was a rough attempt.
Heavily contested and just like really a Hail Mary, but would have been insane if that went in. But then I would have been just freaking out about like they're probably going to lose in overtime because that's how my brain works. All right. Then the last clip that I've got from the Latvia game was actually a really positive possession, like the kind of Jokic ball possession you want to see. He catches up. It's kind of, I want to say catches at the elbow, but the thing is Serbia fully extended their offense out. So it's like Jokic just at the position of the elbow, but just further out. Yeah. 3-man game here. They do some post splits, and then Guduric is able to counter the switch by just cutting and got all the way to the basket, finished at the rim there. So nice when guys make their layups.
He looks very different. He's got that dark hair. Anyway.
Yeah, the dark hair is really throwing me. Yeah.
That was a great pass.
The Eurobasket, what do they call it? Goaltending rules get me sometimes. Where, if the ball touches the rim first, then you can do whatever you want to it. Mm-hmm. But that was a cool one, and it was nice to see. And that was an example of Jokic operating further away from the paint. And we haven't seen a lot of that in this tournament, frankly. And it's not about like Jokic shooting from there or trying to score from there, but him being able to, catch, because teams are really honing in on making his deep post catches as difficult as possible. Right. But from further out, I've seen him bringing the ball up. I've seen him make these catches, but it's very sparing. The highest volume of play that Team Serbia is running right now in terms of like how they're initiating their offense anyway is trying to get a deep post catch for Jokic, whether it's in the middle of the floor or on the side. And that's where they're having the most stickiness when it comes to fighting off opposing defenses. Like when he gets the ball, the reward is usually pretty high. He's been pretty dominant when he can get the ball. But if you spend like 20 seconds of the shot clock just trying to find the passing angle, and then it just results in a turnover anyway, that's also what I'm seeing in a lot of these games. In particular, Portugal, Latvia, and we're about to talk about the game against Turkey.
Yeah.
This was Davis Bertans went off against Team Serbia in this game. That was annoying. I'm like, damn, dude. Like, Mavs fans always watch Davis Bertans and they're like, he didn't shoot like this with us.
I know. He's like almost borderline washed, but then he'll just go off on a random night.
I mean, the defense is still what it is, but it matters less in FIBA because of the spacing. All right. Anything else on the Latvia game before we move on to Turkey?
Well, let's just answer this question. Viekoslav, do you guys see any player from Serbia who's not in the NBA who could be on the Nuggets roster?
I have wanted Alexa Abramovich for... Alexa's been on my radar ever since the World Cup a couple years ago. I want him. I've wanted him. He's like exactly what we need. Just like a crazy Russ replacement, but who knows? Maybe he's a little too crazy. I think that's what. I'm trying to remember. I think Voya mentioned that on a recent episode of Serbian Corner. Like, I know everyone wants Alexa, but he might be a little like actually crazy, and that's why he's not in the NBA. I think he's also playing for Dubai right now, or playing in Dubai, and those teams might be paying like a premium to keep guys away from other leagues.
What about Petrusev?
Petrusev at 4. Vyacheslav, appreciate this question. We've gotten a lot of looks of Petrusev at the 4. Are they asking if we could use
for the Nuggets
Petrusev at the 4? We could use another power forward, so sure. I don't know if he can play. Like he was in the NBA. He was on a 2-way contract a couple of years ago, right? Didn't really get minutes, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. Those are like
they didn't sign another big with their last 2 ways, which was kind of surprising to me given our power forward room. But I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. We could use him, sure. Like another body in that front court would be nice to have. Yeah. All right. Turkey.
Yes, let's go to Turkey.
Serbia goes down 90-95 against Sengun and Team Turkey. Sengun was spectacular in this game. Was my first takeaway upon rewatch, because I did not get to watch this one live. I did watch the fourth quarter live. I didn't get to see the first part of this game. And I kind of had that takeaway going away from the fourth quarter too. Of course, I'm thinking like, what are all the things that Team Serbia did wrong? But Sengun was genuinely like incredible in this game, and he has been really good throughout the tournament. I haven't been able to watch Team Turkey's full games, but I've caught pieces here and there, especially the ends of games. Although they have been blowing some teams out for sure. I think I caught more in the warm up games. Yeah, I was just like, all right, maybe this is the year that Sengun takes a leap. And if you'll recall, I think it was when we were talking to Law Murray about the Clippers. Maybe it wasn't. I can't remember which discussion it was. Maybe it was when we were talking about NBA Chicken about ranking off seasons.
Ranking the Rockets. And talking about Sengun.
I was like, well, KD is only going to do so much for that offense. But the thing that would really scare me is the combination of KD plus a Sengun leap, like a genuine, like he's taking a real big step forward in terms of his offensive game. Yeah, that would, like, if Sengun starts playing like this, the Rockets are a real contender, just point blank period.
Oh, I know. It's scary to see. Yeah, I thought he was kind of the story of the game, basically, just to put it like that, because it was, going to him really early got them an early lead. And while Serbia stabilized, it was always a question of how they were guarding him. And sometimes Turkey went away from him a little too much and got back to him in other parts of the game. And they tried to put Mutanov on him and get Jokic off of him also on other possessions that I don't think was that great of an idea. But yeah, it was interesting throughout.
And Sengun was so good that Pesic was like, let's try double big all game, or not all game, but all fourth quarter.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, Sengun was crazy. Turkey as a team was insane from behind the arc.
Yes.
18 of 31. They shot 56% to Serbia's 11 of 26, which is 42%. That's pretty good. And usually when Serbia, like, because they make their points in the paint, like that's where they make their money. And then the threes are like on top of that. Usually that's a stat line that says the team got blown out, or at least like that was a comfortable victory for Team Serbia. But Team Turkey was absolutely lighting them on fire from three. Sengun himself went 4 of 7, which was I think that might be a typo. Like, I think he went 4 of 8 or 5 of 8. I thought he took 8 threes. In this game, Shane Larkin, one of their guards, 5 of 8 from 3. That was really annoying too.
I pulled some clips of that. I'll put one up now. Just because Larkin, it was just like crazy off the dribble pull up threes too. Man. With like, that was the block, a nice block. That was the block
Alexa, yeah.
And then he hit the 3 after that, right? But it was just like, it was almost this 3-point contest where it was like, okay, Alexa hit one. And then this one at the sidelines out of bounds. Just a quick little pass right here to Larkin. And then just pull up and he's fading away and hits it. It was just wild shot making from Turkey all game. And while you can say, like, let's get this out of the way now, that was an amazing shooting performance from 3. I don't know, do expect that all the time or every game from them, but they clearly proved they can shoot. And Serbia was still in the game despite that and just didn't have a couple things go their way. And
led late despite that. Mm-hmm. Right? It wasn't the threes at the end of the game that killed Team Serbia. It was the offensive rebounds. Although there was 1 3 that kind of sealed it for Turkey at the end, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. One really bad possession. I have that one too. And turnovers and just not rebounding. This is the one right here. I'll pull that up. So it's the game.
Yeah, Larkin Can we? Yeah, I remember this one, and I thought about you pulled this one of your own volition, but I thought about putting this one in the notes too, just because it was so egregious how bad the beginning of the defense was, to where they just get a wide open catch and shoot rhythm 3 from the wing with like nobody anywhere near the shooter here, and it's because. So he goes over the screen. Milutinov is like, I guess I'm staying with Sengun. And then we're expecting Jokic to follow the point guard all the way around. Guduric comes over to help. Yeah.
That's the thing.
But I'm like, Jokic is there.
Jokic is there. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't trust him. I get the hustle. And, you think you're going to get the block. But that was like a pretty good play by him. When you're
late in the game, you're just like, get the stop, get the stop, get the stop. But Serbia's up right now. And whenever the Nuggets are up any amount late in games, I'm literally just chanting from my couch. No threes, no and ones. No threes, no and ones. Like, if they get a 2, we can live with that. And the game was either tied or, depending on how much you're up, you're still up like some amount. You'll live with that. Although you don't want to give them a layup, you don't want to give a banana one. Like, try to give up the space in the middle of the floor. There was just a lot going on here. I thought that the dribble penetration that was allowed in this game by Team Serbia was really, really bad. And that's how Turkey got a lot of their threes. Like, they made some spectacular ones off the dribble, but a lot of the catch and shoots were just like, we can't contain any dribble penetration. And it's not just on the point of attack defender. The gap help was not where it needed to be, especially when you had certain lineups out there where it was like, Milutinov and Micic, and actually there's a lot of other like good defenders on Team Serbia, but particularly the lineups, those 2 out there, the help was not where it needed to be, especially like when Jokic is also on the floor and he's like stationed like way back in the paint. It was just kind of a mess in terms of guarding the perimeter, and that's crazy because Sengun also went off on them, right?
Yeah. So we had this comment. Jokic was disappointing, sorry. And it's like, I kind of agree on defense. It was really difficult. And I felt like the whole team was struggling, like you had just laid out, with guarding the perimeter. And when they were trying to guard the perimeter a little too much or too aggressive, sometimes they could get punished by a driving kick, or sometimes they weren't guarding it enough because they were in the wrong position or over helping or just not executing properly. And so with Sengun, just to get back to your point too, I get that maybe you want to dare him to shoot, possibly. So I pulled this other clip. It was an early shot in the first quarter where Jokic, maybe this isn't the one, but Jokic is okay. So this is a different one. This was just like a pretty deep 3 from him. Very deep 3 from Sengun here. Obviously, you don't expect him to make that all the time. That was an amazing shot. And as we talked about, they were shooting the lights out.
You don't expect him to be pulling from out there either.
Yeah, but he had another one where Jokic,
like, okay, if he catches out there, maybe he'll run a THO. But yeah.
There was another one where Jokic was just deliberately playing off of him and he just shot it and made it early on. And then, when he starts hitting them, as we see all the time in the NBA, then you're going to try to get up on him, on the 3-point line and get closer, which, you have to do because you don't want him to shoot because he's proving that he can shoot. But then you have to guard him in space. So he kind of goes at
honestly,
Jokic there.
Like that midi, I'd rather him be taking that midi than what he was getting close range around the basket and the threes. Like that I live with. He's like, okay, you want to bury a bunch of middies in Jokic's eye? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't care.
I just think Jokic had a difficult job guarding him in space, and especially like driving from the perimeter. And they did some other things.
But who was worse was Milutinov. He was getting all the way to the rim on the other Nikola.
Yeah, let's pull that one up.
Well, I would say the third Nikola, but he's the first Nikola. I think he's the oldest of the three. Or maybe Jokic is the oldest. Milutinov is one of the older Nikolas on the team. But Sengun gets all the way, not all the way to the basket, but he gets to his spot deep in the paint, hits that hook. I was kind of surprised that went in because his touch on the hook is kind of iffy when he's that far out. But this was like I said, spectacular Sengun game. Like I just thought he was really, really good.
It's not like Milutinov was terrible in that possession, and that was a great hook shot.
It was just like Sengun's too fast for him. Like straight up.
Too fast.
At least Jokic, like if Sengun gets past Jokic or gets a spin on him, I know that he's like, I have the capability to keep him in front. Like the possession where he ends up hitting that midi, like Jokic is able to keep him in front, keep enough space in front of him, where he got up on him, and then Sengun wanted to like drive in. But then Jokic had enough speed to get back. Milutinov does not have that ability. And I thought it was really kind of cruel to make him guard Sengun, not one-on-one the entire game, but one-on-one on a lot of key possessions of this game. No, it's not an easy shot, for sure.
Yeah,
but it is the spot that he wanted to get to. He got to.
But I bet you he practices that, like that little spin move hook shot, and may not go in all the time. Unfortunately, when they put Jokic back on Sengun, he got that foul that got them the lead, and they never got that lead back. And I wanted to pull that one up, where it's a tough one. He has the ability to body Sengun, of course, like he has the size to match up with him, but he just kind of gets him on the arm right here, and Sengun also kind of like extends his arm out. But yeah, he's reaching right there and gets him.
I thought this one shouldn't have been an and one because it's his off arm.
Yeah, well, he misses the shot and gets free throws, but that's a close one.
Well, no, I don't think it should have been free throws then.
Yeah, sure. It's a tough one
and sometimes this is the thing. There. Like you can get to your spot, but the nice thing about like Jokic having guarded him, and he did end up getting free throws, but I don't think he should have gotten free throws there. Is sometimes when you have to body someone up to get to your shot, that strength like throws off your shot, and that's why you miss it, right? Like as happened there, which is why it's so impressive when Jokic can make all the and ones that he can and all the shots through contact that he does. He's bodying up guys constantly. But yeah, Milutinov, I don't think had the and this is nothing on him. Like my main criticism of him being put in that was just him being put in that position, right? I thought the double big thing wasn't helpful on defense, as we saw as evidenced by the fact that Turkey scored 95 points in a 40-minute game. Okay. In FIBA. And that, to be fair, that's with, shooting 56%, like 18 threes is a lot. In a FIBA game.
God, man.
But especially late in this game, I'm like, this is giving us no benefit in the paint defensively. And then offensively, oh my gosh, was the lane clogged. And does nobody on the floor understand what their role is supposed to be when you've got this double big lineup out there, in particular without like a high level point guard to like sew everything up together. Right. And this is where I think the criticism of Micic is a little bit too much position that he's put in by virtue of the roster. And I don't think like you said, like he had some bad moments, but it wasn't like that. It was just like he wasn't giving what was needed in that position just because like it's just not within his capability, right? To make this particular thing work for Team Serbia at this stage in Micic's career, especially coming off of an injury, right?
Yeah. Do you want to go to the rebounding?
So let's go to the rebounding, because I think this was like egregious. This was in the clutch. It wasn't like it happened all game, but it was in the clutch. You got Milutinov and Jokic out there. Jokic is supposed to be.
It was off a free throw, so he's already.
Okay, no. So this is off the free throw. Then
Sengun gives Jokic quite a shove there, but whatever. It's a physical game.
He should have. Jokic should have pushed him first. Like, make him fall to the ground and break a tooth or something.
But you're up 4, and so they're resetting here.
Yes.
And here we go. They're running offense, post up. Sengun's looking, fighting. Goes for the hook shot,
misses. Jokic tries to tap it to himself. Is that even Sengun who gets the rebound, or was it Cedi Osman who gets the rebound there? Boop boop. Who jumps in?
Was that? I think it was Sengun who jumped. Oh, who was it?
Yeah, but Osman runs in. Thank you, Jovic, for trying to cherry pick. Because
Sengun's there.
Jovic is trying to run and cherry pick and lets Osman run in and get the rebound and tap it back. Basically, just give it to Sengun, and then he gets the and one.
The and one was
puts Turkey within one.
Little bit soft, but
it was and one. Like Milutinov leaves his feet, and I'm like, why are you jumping?
Yeah, so
you're like a few inches taller than this guy.
They're gonna call that.
You're 7 feet tall. That's an and one. That's an and one. That's an and one that like most people get most of the time. You leave your feet. You hit the guy when he goes up. It's an and one.
And then he actually missed that free throw off that and one, and Serbia didn't get the rebound. They didn't score on that possession, but it was just like I was going to pull that clip if they scored again, but thankfully they didn't. And it was just like, oh my God, they cannot get the rebound. And I don't know, it was just kind of a lack of focus. Like you said, the cherry picking and letting someone come in and help with their rebound. And there was a ton of corner crashing and back cuts, which I pulled clips of that too, which I'll show later. But if there's anything else you want to show from the late game.
So this is more on the offensive side, because this ties into our discussion earlier about what the structure of Serbia's offense is, both by virtue of their roster and also just the choice made to rely on Jokic more. Their entire offense is, when they're not getting stops, so basically when they're in the half court, is forced entry passes to Jokic, whether it's off of normal actions, normal being like just not pick and roll, like the one that we showed with Team Latvia, where he's trying to establish position with a series of off ball screens, whatever, and they're not able to do it there, but that you see what the idea was to get him deep in the post so he could get a post touch there, or off of pick and roll, because often teams are trying to put a big on these less quick guards, switch it. Jokic has like a bit of a mismatch, but it's not as good. And then it's like, well, this is what we have because the guard is not able to get downhill. So we have a switch, re-enter the ball to Jokic, and then just let him ISO from the middle of the floor. And yeah, that didn't work in this game because they were going, well, it didn't work extra in this game because they were going double big. The lane is completely clogged. Jokic can often barely even get the ball because the lane is so clogged. And on top, like just like Team Latvia, Team Turkey was trying to prevent catches. But even before that, I thought Sengun did a really good job of forcing Jokic's catches really far out. But the possession that I wanted to highlight here was, I think, Serbia's last possession of the game. I think if you bring up the Jokic kept rolling here, no, this is one of the last. Oh no, yeah, this is the last one. So Micic sets it up, kind of has to reset. Guduric comes around. Okay, we're gonna run something with Guduric. The whole goal is set up Jokic. Sengun's like, body him up. Don't let Jokic get deep in the paint. But we can't let Guduric get all the way downhill. Sengun is able to stop him. Okay. So let's just look at the structure of what we're doing here. they're running pick and roll with Guduric, and Sengun is completely
It's like a soft
focused
drop.
on Jokic. Soft drop. Then he's
And
like, I'm
then-
gonna jump out at Guduric, and Jokic is like, I'm gonna roll, but there's no angle for Guduric to get me the ball here. And then, he ends up fumbling the ball, or Sengun pokes it away. We don't have that angle, whatever
Here,
it is.
There's a close-up I can get of it. Yeah, this is, impressive defense from Sengun to move his feet like that, and then he reaches in and gets the ball right there.
No, he reaches in. That was really impressive. But like, Jokic was open for a couple seconds before Guduric was able to get to the ball. And this is what I'm talking about. You have guys that like, I can do a little bit off the dribble, but sometimes you need higher level, like quicker playmaking. And that's where it's like, well, do you blame Micic for like not just taking over that possession in terms of like the initiation responsibilities? Yeah, Guduric is not a pick and roll guard, like Adder. Like that's just what it is. He'll have like a really good play every now and then as like a second side attacker after an advantage has been created, and attacking out of pick and roll after an advantage has been created when he has the open space. But expecting him to be the primary advantage creator in terms of pick and roll on the ball, I think is crazy, especially with 30 seconds left in a game where you're down 1 at this point. Before or are they down 2?
They were down 1.
Yeah. We're like, we just need a bucket, get Jokic the ball. He's not a playmaker like that. And I think that Guduric has like annoyed some people in certain possessions in Eurobasket where he like shoots instead. So I'm like, he's not capable of some of these passing angles. And it's like, I don't want to say not his fault, but it's like, that's the player that he is. I don't know what you guys were expecting. What they need is more guys who can operate in a versatile way out of pick and roll, whether it's being a more reliable scorer out of pick and roll to where they can take advantage of the space that is being allotted to them by virtue of the attention that Jokic is given out of pick and roll, and or can make the passes both to Jokic and to others, because Micic also is not being completely ignored, but his guy is shading off of him after Guduric gets the ball. After Micic gives up the ball here, basically. I think
Micic
role play here.
He went a little too early, and like Jokic couldn't even get there to set the screen.
Well, the thing is, they're down, and they were trying to get a 2-for-1. Like, I think he should have gone faster. But like, Serbia like couldn't decide if they were going to like, let's get a really good possession and like take our time, or if they were going for the 2-for-1. Like that. That's evident that decision was not made. But yeah, I mean, even when with that additional angle of Sengun, poking the ball is even a more impressive Sengun game than we said initially, and I hate that.
Yeah. Oh man, they also had a bad possession earlier too, where they were also down 1 out of bounds, baseline out of bounds. And it was just hesitancy.
Jokic inbounds, yeah, I remember this.
Just hesitancy by Serbia. Like, I mean, that's an open shot.
Were they like, what do we do?
No, just throw it away. And then Micic. What's the direction here?
They're
he's being guarded by
pick and roll, but
well.
At this point then he's like, okay, I'll reject the screen. Sengun reads the pass to Jokic. I thought Micic did the right thing here. Is it Sengun? No, that's the other big. That's kind of unfortunate, but that was a good play. That was a good play by Turkey. He's like, okay, let me get Jokic the ball. He was able to slip out of pick and roll.
Steal the ball.
But Sengun's also shading there, and he could have thrown to the corner. And this is what I'm talking about. Is like there's so many guys where it's like where we can do a little bit of pick and roll, but we know our entire goal on this possession or on this play, like the player on ball, is get the ball to Jokic, and if I can't, then try to score. It's not, let's run a thing for another player. And that's where I think they're really limited in their on-ball playmaking. And it's like really, it's not good. it's not great, right? And none of these guys are like good enough as pick and rolls scorers to really justify that. And that's why you end up in a situation where the whole offense is sort of built around get Jokic the ball.
Yeah, it was rough
in the post. But I think they should be getting Jokic the ball further out and then letting him operate as a hub. But we have not seen a lot of that, even as the initial point of like how the possession's starting in these games. When he's operating up at even like the top of the key, it's usually just to run a handoff just run a handoff. It's not like the one we saw where towards the end of the third quarter where they run some post splits from far out, gets Guduric that layup, for example. Or not third quarter. That was from the Latvia game.
On that point, there's an interesting clip that I did pull here that was a successful play for Serbia where they run a high screen roll or screen with Jokic right there. And there's a little action on the key. It's almost like a horns setup off ball here where there's action on the nail, and Turkey's man actually runs into Sengun here. And so Jokic is completely left open. And so he has so much room and just throw the ball to Jokic and he can just drive right here. And it's just a simple drive and kick for a three.
I mean, it's kind of a drive and kick for a relocation three, because again, they're walling off the paint. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, Jokic can drive, but he's not going to be like a slithery guy that's going to like slice through these Turkey defenders. And so you're left with like, okay, let's kick out to like a strong side Stefan Jovic. Like, I think Turkey lives with that shot, frankly.
For sure. But right? I just think Jokic had space here because I liked this action here. And like Sengun, we just saw how he was navigating screens and stepping up and doing stuff. And they kind of put him out of position a little bit. So Jokic could shoot or pump fake and drive. Like, there's just a little more options there. But yeah, you can live with that shot. But I do think Serbia can make open threes, and many of these teams can make open threes. It's just, I
mean, Serbia made open threes in this game. They shot 42%. Yeah.
They also missed some that I would, whatever. It's an open three. You have to take it. Not all of them are going to go in unless you're Turkey. And then in which case all of them will go in. But and I don't know. Speaking of Jokic driving, we have to show his dunk.
This was really cool. I saw this happen and I'm like, oh, it's going to suck when they lose this game. That's a sweet highlight.
Yeah, I mean, this
was to give Serbia this is the first lead that I saw in the fourth quarter. Because like I said, I got home just in time to watch that live. First lead for Serbia in the fourth quarter. So that was like a nice statement moment, but it didn't end up changing the outcome of the game.
Yeah. It's just cool. Like, you can't fall asleep.
Vyacheslav said, I'd rather see Jokic being a bully under the paint if they double find the open man. The problem is getting Jokic the ball in the first place. He can't bully anybody if he doesn't have the ball. I mean, he can off ball, but then it's harder to get him the ball. And it's resulting in a lot of turnovers. Like, it's not as easy as give Jokic the ball down low. Trust me, Serbia's trying. Like, that's what they're trying to do. And in some games, like versus Latvia, they were rather successful at that in volume. In every other game, really in group play, Czechia and Estonia, Serbia didn't have to do as much because those were not, that wasn't high level competition for the whole team. But in all the competitive games in group play, that has been incredibly difficult. And that's the thing. It's like other teams recognize that if you let Jokic just bully you in the paint, you are absolutely cooked. We need to stop him from doing that by all means, necessary. Yeah.
And I thought Turkey was impressive with their intensity and like just consistent effort. Whether it was, aggressive
getting back in
blitzes.
Transition. Like, there weren't a lot of there were a couple of possessions late in this game where Serbia forces a turnover and it's like live and it's like, well, the ball flies up the floor way faster than any of the Turks could, get there. But for the most part, I'm like, man, Serbia's not getting their like semi-transition attack. They're not able to get into their stuff early. So if it's not literally like a fast break, there's no transition points being available. And I thought that was a lot of discipline from Team Turkey.
Yeah. And, they are not going to have the effort to hound Jokic on every single entry pass. But if you can do it a ton, it's gonna pay out pretty well. I mean, there was this one clip here where Jokic is posting up and it's a very easy pass. Sengun's not doing anything to prevent that pass, of course, and then you can see what happens here, where it's just a simple back cut and then find the dunker spot man for an easy layup. And those are the things that can happen where
that
Serbia
is not
can pick you
what the
apart.
space on the court looked like in the fourth quarter. I'll tell you that. They really locked in.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like every possession's not going to be executed with the most optimum of effort by Turkey, but yeah.
Do you see here, by the way, like they score on this possession, like they get a layup, but look at Shane Larkin completely ignoring Stefan Jovic. Like that's what I'm talking about with like, I know that Turkey lives with that shot because they've been ignoring this guy, like completely ignoring him all game.
Yeah. That's another reason why not having Bogi is hurting you for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just had a couple. Is there any other things you wanted to bring up? Because I had some concepts that I wanted to show.
No, sure, go ahead. Run with it.
I just thought, we just talked about Turkey's effort. They had pretty high aggressive blitzes or traps, whatever you want to call them, where, it's the same thing where Jokic can roll.
Look, it's Guduric, right? Like you're not worried about him killing you with a pass here.
Yeah, because Jokic
as we
is
saw
rolling,
in the
he's
last
open.
possession of the game. Like this is basically what happens on the last possession of the game, except Sengun got the ball.
He almost got it, but they get it back to Jokic and open three, just don't hit it. So other times, Serbia did convert this type of thing. This one was Jokic wasn't even on the floor. It was Milutinov, where is this who's handling the ball? Guduric again.
Guduric again.
Yeah, he stumbles with the ball handling. So he's coming off the action and loses the ball. So now they're able to get him up.
Handle. It's giving me anxiety.
They're able to aggressively trap super high near the baseline. Thankfully, he got the pass over the top to Milutinov, who then it's just like a little give and go dunk. And so that was good to see, but that's not going to happen every single time. You don't want to be caught up there. So it was kind of funny where it was like that Jokic play. I would expect them to convert that and not to have converted the other one. But what can you do? Sometimes you hit the shot and you make the pass.
Small sample size as well.
Yes. But you get the point of that we're talking about here. The other thing was just tons of back cuts, just losing focus. This was happening over and over again.
Yeah, Dover and this is the thing, like you have to be extra vigilant when you're Dobrich on that last possession. Was that Shane Larkin that did Larkin. The back cut? Larkin's way quicker than you. You can stop him if you're paying attention, but if you're not, you have no chance, right? Yep. And he's setting up for that back cut that entire time. You could see.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna give the little jab step and then go. Yeah, so there it is. And this was a kind of interesting one where it was in the fourth quarter. Serbia's up 2, and we're swinging the ball. Okay, so this was a weird one because they're running a little screen on the wing, on the right wing, and then we have, I don't know these Turkey players' names, but there's a guy on the dunker and another player in the corner, and they both kind of cut along the baseline. Is 23 Guduric?
Is that Guduric that's supposed to be guarding the guy in the corner? So Serbia's in a zone right now, and Turkey just basically beats it with off-ball movement and the corner guy relocating to the opposite corner. I watched this exact, like, this is how you beat a zone on like how to beat what kind of zone is this, by the way? Because this isn't exactly a 2-3. It's like a 2-1-2. With Milutinov playing the middle here. Then it kind of switches. So that's how you do it, is that corner guy just relocates to the opposite corner, and then you force somebody who can only like guard one area to make the decision to stay guarding their area and then leave you, and then you go to the open space. And that was just good basketball by Turkey.
Yeah. Very good.
Honestly, it's like well, let's just go zone because our double big thing is getting absolutely cooked. And it's like, well, why is it on the floor?
Yep.
I have a question for you about this double big here, right? Was this game an example of Pesic being too cute by half with the double big look? Especially, he ran Milutinov I'm pretty sure he ran him the entire fourth quarter because he closed the game. And I'm like, I don't remember him sitting at any point. I don't remember Jokic like being the only center on the floor at any point in that fourth quarter. Or, like in the Olympics with Team USA, is Pesic saying, we'd like to save our best punch for when we see you guys in the knockout round? In other words, was playing these shitty lineups actually a sign of respect for Turkey?
I don't know what Pesic was thinking. I guess we could spin it into the respect for Turkey and saving their best punch. I just kind of thought Serbia wasn't fully focused or executing to their level. And I think Pesic was probably frustrated with that and just trying to find the lineup that would actually start playing. And it might have been worth putting Mutinov on Sengun. I don't blame him for trying it, especially because Jokic was struggling guarding him at times. And just guarding in space. So it was unfortunate. Yeah, and I think with Bogi out, it hurts the spacing. And like you said, it's more paint clogged. So yeah.
Phantom moving boxes in the background. I do have a ghost. All good, guys. No, yeah. I think he's just trying stuff. But it's unfortunate that this is happening in like the most important game in group play.
Because now the damage is done and you're on the other side of the bracket, and so that really sucks. But yeah,
I mean, you would have been on the other side of Turkey's bracket regardless, and Turkey's like your biggest threat in your group, but there's not necessarily the biggest threat in the tournament.
I meant in regards to Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think that you can guarantee that because. Actually, no, because Germany, we're going to go over the groups, but didn't Germany win their group? So the best thing for you to have done would be to win your group.
So, yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
that's what I mean.
It is what it is. We'll see what they do if Serbia meets Turkey again, whether they go with this double big shenanigans one more time. I personally think that, generally speaking, it's good to have like a rotational adjustment that allows you to do something else, whether it's like, defensively or offensively, but it should not come at the expense of your best bunch, which is Jokic at the 5. The whole point of an adjustment is to enhance or augment something you already do well, or like make something that you don't do well better. This double big look didn't do anything better. And if anything, it really blunted Jokic's own impact because of how much less, like, harder it was for him to even touch the ball. Like, it made it harder for him to touch the ball. And Jokic doesn't have to be, quote unquote, on ball to make the most impact, but he has to be able to touch the ball in order to, not has to, but he's going to make the most impact on the game when he's able to touch the ball on offense. And he was not able to do that. And defensively, even, Milutinov was brought into so many actions in such a short span of time. I think, what did he only play, like 17 total minutes in that game? Maybe less. But yeah. I felt like he was pulled into everything the entire time that he was on the floor. And he's not as good of a defender as Jokic in terms of just like team defense, being like good positionally and being able to help guys out, all this stuff. More. So Jokic was just not as involved in like the things that do make him a great player as a result of that. And on top of it, it made things tougher on the other players on the floor because of the personnel. I think if you had higher level guards, higher level perimeter offensive play, especially, then okay, let's try the double big thing and see like how it can work out. But it doesn't really make sense to me to blunt their the offensive potency of your front court by moving Jokic to the 4 when you don't have the corresponding back court to like make up for that, if that makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
things to think about for the Nuggets, possibly on any double bigs with Jokic. Last thing though, before we move on to Kawhi, I did want to show because I thought this was interesting.
Oh, we've got some more Eurobasket things too.
Oh, right. But I wanted to show these RAM screens that they kept doing for Sengun, where it's these deep screens where they're screening Sengun to come up and then set a high screen, and then that pulls Jokic up, but then he's basically in a drop because of that action. And I always think Jokic is better at the level, as you know from watching the Nuggets, and they just did this over and over again, unfortunately. So let's see this one. Jokic gets pulled down. That was kind of like a ghost screen. They didn't really like do any actual screening action, but Sengun runs out and has room to drive on Milutinov again. So there you go. And Turkey just had this ball movement and another crazy three, of course. And
that's the same three that you called like a good three when it was Stefan Jovic.
It is a good three, but
yeah.
You got to hit those shots. So here was another one, another RAM screen. So Jokic gets screened at the nail, and look how far into drop Jokic is right here, and it's just a wide open three. And they just kept doing that over and over. I don't know if that's something they could just adjust, easily.
That's just you. You could tell just from the box score. Sengun took 7 threes in a 40-minute game. That was planned, right? Yeah. Like this was intentional on Team Turkey's part. It seemed to be a concerted effort to get him those looks, even if you just look at the 7 attempts. But the fact that he hit, 4 or 5 of them, like. That's obviously what sealed it for Turkey, but you can tell what their game plan was based on that volume.
Getting a report that the YouTube is mad at us because we were showing clips of this tournament. So we'll see how this works out. You know how it is. Mad? Yes.
Oh, wow.
Stream is temporarily blocked.
It's temporarily blocked.
Yeah. Can you still see us, chat?
Oh, no.
Some people are saying, yeah, content ID cooked you. No, can't see us. Broke the stream. Damn. Let's see. Let's try and end the stream.
But if you end it, will we be able to come back?
Yeah, I can just start another one, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Let's start this.